What if the happiest place on earth wasn't so happy behind the scenes? What if the company that defined childhood for millions was quietly built on controversy, ruthless business deals, and a growing culture war that threatens to unravel it all? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Disney, from its soaring highs to its shocking lows, with untold stories about hidden controversies, billion-dollar mistakes, and how wokeness may have cracked the fairy tale forever. This is Disney. The rise, the fall, and the chaos behind the magic. The early years. Walt's vision. In 1923, Walt Disney and his brother Roy founded the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio in Hollywood with just $250 borrowed from family. Before this, Walt had already faced bankruptcy with his previous company, Laugh-O-Gram Studios. After creating Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Disney suffered a devastating blow when his distributor secretly hired away most of his animators and claimed ownership of the character. From this setback emerged Mickey Mouse in 1928, first appearing in Steamboat Willie, one of the first cartoons with synchronized sound. Walt himself voiced Mickey until 1947. Walt's ambitions extended far beyond short cartoons. In an era when animation was considered mere children's entertainment, he envisioned feature-length animated films with the artistic merit of live-action productions. Snow White, the gamble that changed everything. In 1934, Walt announced plans for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Industry insiders called it Disney's folly, convinced it would bankrupt the studio. The production cost $1.5 million, astronomical for the Depression era. Walt's insistence on quality led him to fire an entire team of artists 6 months into production. The animators developed new techniques such as the 12 principles of animation and the multiplane camera, which created unprecedented depth in animation. When Snow White premiered in 1937, it grossed $8 million during its initial release, becoming the highest-grossing sound film at that time. Critics were equally stunned, with influential reviewers declaring it a new art form entirely, building an empire, the Golden Age. Following Snow White's success, Disney rapidly expanded, producing classics like Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. Despite critical acclaim, several of these films initially lost money due to World War II cutting off international distribution. The company diversified into educational and propaganda films during the war years to stay afloat, producing over 400 military training films that kept the studio running. In 1955, Walt opened Disneyland, revolutionizing theme parks. What few realize is that opening day was a notorious disaster, with counterfeit tickets leading to overcrowding, food shortages, and a gas leak. Despite this catastrophic launch, Disney's attention to detail ultimately transformed Disneyland into an unprecedented success. The shadow side, controversy, and contradiction. Behind Disney's family-friendly image lurked troubling contradictions. Early Disney films contained problematic stereotypes, from the crows in Dumbo to the Siamese cats in Lady and the Tramp, and the depictions in Song of the South, which romanticized plantation life.
I was making a
In 1941, animators went on strike over pay disparities and lack of screen credits. Disney took this personally, viewing strikers as ungrateful and even communist infiltrators. This confrontation permanently changed Walt's relationship with his staff and led to his testimony before the House Un-American Activities Committee.
That I had called them all a bunch of communists, and I believe they are.
The Disney Renaissance. The late 1980s marked a turning point for Disney after a decade of underwhelming animated features. The Little Mermaid, 1989, reintroduced Disney to the top of the box office and ushered in the Disney Renaissance. Beauty and the Beast, 1991, became the first animated film ever nominated for Best Picture. Aladdin, 1992, and The Lion King, 1994 followed, with the latter grossing nearly $1 billion globally. Yet these films weren't without controversy. Aladdin faced criticism for its portrayal of Middle Eastern culture, while Pocahontas, 1995, was criticized for historical inaccuracies and colonial narratives. Mulan, 1998, garnered acclaim for its strong female protagonist, but faced criticism in China for westernized depictions of Chinese culture. The Pixar revolution. Before becoming part of Disney, Pixar was a modest computer graphics company led by John Lasseter, ironically a former Disney employee who had been fired for pushing computer animation at a time when the studio was deeply committed to traditional hand-drawn methods. After his dismissal, Lasseter joined Pixar and became a driving creative force within the company. In the early 1990s, Pixar struck a historic deal with Disney to produce 3 animated feature films. This partnership was viewed skeptically by some industry insiders, but it would soon reshape the entire animation landscape. The first project? A fully computer-animated film about the secret life of toys. Toy Story, released in 1995, was a bold and risky experiment. Behind the scenes, the film endured a tumultuous development process. In its earliest drafts, the character of Woody was portrayed as mean-spirited, sarcastic, and outright cruel to his fellow toys, a personality so off-putting that Disney executives demanded rewrites. The team at Pixar, led by Lasseter, spent months reworking the script to soften Woody's character while maintaining narrative tension. Toy Story 1995 became an instant sensation, earning over $360 million worldwide and proving computer animation could deliver storytelling with heart and humor. Pixar continued its winning streak with Monsters, Inc. 2001, Finding Nemo 2003, The Incredibles 2004, and Cars 2006. By the mid-2000s, Disney's own animation division was in serious decline. Recognizing the urgent need to revitalize, Disney CEO Bob Iger acquired Pixar for $7.4 billion in 2006. The acquisition brought Pixar's hits under Disney's control and reinstated John Lasseter as creative leader within Disney Animation. The acquisition era. The 2010s marked an era of unprecedented expansion for Disney under CEO Bob Iger. After decades of relying on animated films and theme parks, Disney sought to become a global media juggernaut through strategic acquisitions. In 2009, Disney purchased Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion. Many questioned whether Disney could effectively manage Marvel's darker, grittier content. The gamble paid off with The Avengers 2012, which earned over $1.5 billion worldwide and launched the highest-grossing film franchise of all time. In 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilm for $4.05 billion, gaining ownership of Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Star Wars: The Force Awakens 2015 earned over $2 billion globally, though the sequel trilogy grew increasingly divisive among fans. Disney's most ambitious acquisition came in 2019 with the purchase of 21st Century Fox for $71 billion. This deal added Avatar, The Simpsons, X-Men, and more to Disney's portfolio, cementing its dominance in global entertainment. Critics argued that Disney's consolidation was contributing to the dilution of original storytelling and reducing diversity in mainstream entertainment. If you love Disney's classical stories, then you'll love this. If you're looking for a new children's book for your child, look no further. In the mysterious town of Pickpock, there's a school where illusions come alive, strange powers lurk, and golden monkeys run wild. Meet Rad, Mia, and Eric, 3 misfits with nothing in common. Rad's crazy about Vikings, Mia's a total drama queen, and Eric, he trips over his own feet. This misfit trio must work together to survive magical mayhem and monkey madness. It's quirky, it's wild, it's the year of the misfits. The link is in the description box. The streaming wars. In 2019, Disney launched Disney Plus to compete directly with Netflix. The platform saw unprecedented growth during the COVID-19 pandemic, reaching over 100 million subscribers by 2021. However, behind the subscriber milestones lurked financial instability. Between the costs of original productions, marketing, and technology infrastructure, Disney's streaming division reportedly lost over $11 billion by 2024, a figure that stunned investors and prompted internal panic. While initial offerings like The Mandalorian and WandaVision drew huge viewership, the platform became over-reliant on nostalgia and forced diversity narratives. High-profile failures included Willow and The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, which were canceled after disappointing viewership. The Culture Wars. By the mid-2020s, Disney found itself at the center of controversy over increasingly politicized content. A major flashpoint was Disney's string of live-action remakes, which often reimagined classic characters with race-swapping and gender role reversals. The Little Mermaid remake cast Halle Bailey as Ariel, sparking online debates. Peter Pan and Wendy revised characters to reflect modern sensibilities. While some audiences embraced these changes, a significant portion of Disney's fan base felt they were unnecessary alterations to beloved stories. By 2022, Disney wasn't just battling financial losses, it had become a central figure in America's escalating culture wars. The flashpoint? A controversial piece of Florida legislation known as the Parental Rights in Education Law, referred to by its critics as the Don't Say Gay bill. The bill restricted classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity for young children in public schools. While many corporations remained silent, Disney, under then CEO Bob Chapek, initially tried to stay neutral, a decision that sparked internal backlash from employees and external pressure from activists. Faced with mounting protests from within its own workforce, Disney publicly denounced the law in March 2022. Chapek pledged to support LGBTQ+ rights and promised to pause all political donations in Florida. The response from Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis was swift and unprecedented. In a matter of weeks, the Florida legislature passed a bill targeting Disney's long-standing special privileges in the state, a move that would mark one of the most consequential blows to the company's operations in decades. Since 1967, Disney operated under a unique agreement with the state of Florida known as the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This special governing jurisdiction granted Disney near sovereign control over 25,000 acres of land in central Florida, essentially allowing the company to act as its own county government. Within this district, Disney could build roads, utilities, and emergency services without county oversight. They issued bonds, regulated zoning, and had extraordinary autonomy for over 50 years, a privilege no other corporation in America possessed. But in April 2022, DeSantis signed legislation dissolving the Reedy Creek Improvement District, effectively stripping Disney of its special status. While the dissolution raised serious financial and legal questions, including who would inherit Disney's $1 billion in municipal debt, the governor and Republican lawmakers pressed ahead. Disney retaliated quietly, but cleverly. In the final hours before the state's new oversight board could take control, Disney's lawyers passed last-minute agreements preserving many of their development rights for decades to come, a move that enraged DeSantis. What followed was a bitter, high-stakes legal war. DeSantis threatened to build a prison next to Disney World. Disney sued the governor and his oversight board in federal court, claiming government retaliation for constitutionally protected speech. The state countersued in return. As this political drama unfolded, Disney's reputation took a beating. Critics on the right accused the company of abandoning family-friendly values in favor of progressive politics. Hashtags like Boycott Disney trended on social media. Park attendance softened, particularly among conservative visitors. What began as a policy debate over a Florida education bill spiraled into one of the most significant public relations and legal battles in Disney's history. A company built on unity and fantasy found itself at the epicenter of America's culture war, a role it was never designed to play. Disney is a brand built on magic, dreams, and childhood wonder. But behind the curtain, the empire hides secrets it rarely discusses, and some of them are flat-out chilling. Let's start with something that shocks even die-hard fans. Disneyland and Disney World are federally protected no-fly zones. That's right. Since 2003, these parks have enjoyed airspace restrictions typically reserved for military bases and key government installations. Officially, it's about public safety after 9/11. But critics have long questioned why a private corporation has such extraordinary privileges. It's not just for fireworks or crowd control. Some believe it's about preserving the illusion, keeping drones, media helicopters, and prying eyes away from behind-the-scenes operations. And what's beneath the parks? A hidden world. At Walt Disney World in Florida, An extensive network of underground tunnels, or utilidors, lets costumed employees, called cast members, move unseen between different areas. That's why you'll never catch Mickey Mouse sprinting through Tomorrowland to get to Fantasyland. It's all part of maintaining the magic, but these tunnels have also sparked rumors about secret storage areas, elite lounges, and even surveillance rooms used to monitor guests without them knowing. Creepy? Maybe. Strategic? Definitely. But that's just the start. Most people don't know that Disney once had its own airport, the Lake Buena Vista Stollport. Built in the 1970s as part of Walt Disney's futuristic city vision, it had a runway and could handle short takeoff and landing planes. For a while, guests could fly directly into Disney property. No TSA lines, no Orlando airport chaos. Today, it's abandoned, overgrown, forgotten. And that fits a pattern. Disney's history is littered with ambitious projects that vanish without explanation. Now here's where it gets murkier. Disney's legal machine. Over the decades, the company has been accused of aggressively silencing scandals through lawsuit cover-ups and tightly enforced NDAs. Whether it's internal misconduct, employee abuse claims, or disputes with former talent, Disney's army of lawyers works overtime to keep things quiet. Whistleblowers have come forward, some anonymously, alleging a pattern of sweeping problems under the rug to protect the brand's family-friendly image. One former employee once said, "You don't sue Disney. They don't just win, they bury you." And looming over it all is the shadow of BlackRock, one of the most powerful investment firms on Earth. While it's not illegal or unusual for major corporations to be influenced by institutional investors, many fans have grown uneasy with what they see as BlackRock's invisible hand shaping Disney's direction. Rumors suggest that BlackRock, which owns significant shares of Disney, has influenced everything from corporate board appointments to the company's broader ideological and political positioning. Some believe this outside influence is partly responsible for Disney's recent strategic missteps and polarizing choices, whether it's secret tunnels or corporate puppeteering. One thing is clear, the Disney brand is built to project perfection, but behind the curtain it's as complex, guarded, and shadowy as any modern empire. And the deeper you dig, the more it starts to feel less like magic, and more like a kingdom desperately trying to protect its throne. The theatrical side wasn't faring much better. Once the home of billion-dollar blockbusters, Disney began racking up high-profile flops. Lightyear, 2022, a spin-off no one asked for, lost over $100 million. Strange World, 2022, one of the biggest animated bombs in Disney history, losing nearly $197 million. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, 2023, a nostalgic sequel with a $300 million budget and middling box office returns. The Marvels, 2023, the worst performing film in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, grossing just $206 million worldwide on a $270 million budget. And then came Wish. Intended as a celebration of Disney's 100th anniversary, it was met with lukewarm reviews and a dismal $254 million worldwide box office, far below expectations for a flagship animated film. The Snow White disaster. The 2025 Snow White remake became a perfect storm of Disney's mounting problems. Lead actress Rachel Zegler made headlines for criticizing the original film's themes and suggesting that the new Snow White wouldn't need a prince.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
The film bombed spectacularly, grossing just $38 million in its opening weekend against a reported $300 million budget. Reviews were merciless, with the film scoring 28% from critics and 17% from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. A social media campaign under the hashtag #NotMySnowWhite trended for weeks, with fans posting comparisons of the original masterpiece and what they saw as a hollow remake. As of April 2025, the Disney live-action Snow White has grossed $195.2 million worldwide. While the film has not yet made back its production budget of $240 to $270 million, they'll most likely not make back their budget or even break even. I think it's safe to say future life remake movies will be shelved for a while. The timing couldn't have been worse, as Disney was already suffering major losses from Disney Plus. Behind the scenes, executives reportedly clashed over the film's creative direction, resulting in a compromise that pleased no one. And so, we arrive at the present day, a far cry from the magical kingdom Walt Disney first envisioned. Once the gold standard of imagination and storytelling, Disney has become a company at war with itself. Its financial struggles, creative failures, and political controversies paint a picture of a corporation caught in the crossfire of modern culture. Some speculate that powerful forces like BlackRock, with its considerable stake in Disney, may be quietly steering the company's values, nudging it toward politically charged narratives that align with broader corporate ESG initiatives. Others believe Disney, haunted by its own complicated past of racial stereotypes and exclusion, is desperately overcorrecting, determined to shed its old image and prove it can be progressive, inclusive, and relevant in a rapidly changing world. Then again, maybe the truth is even simpler and sadder. Maybe Disney has lost its identity. Perhaps it's no longer the fearless innovator of animation and storytelling, but a bloated, risk-averse giant stumbling through the culture wars, trying to please everyone, and in doing so, pleasing no one. Has the company been hijacked by radical ideologues, or is it merely a once great empire that no longer knows what it's doing? A brand trapped between profit and politics, nostalgia and progress, tradition and transformation. In the end, the House of Mouse may never regain its former magic. But one thing's certain, the story of Disney's rise and fall is a cautionary tale for every corporation chasing cultural relevance at the expense of creative soul. This has been Disney's Rise and Fall, brought to you by NerdLurd. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content.